Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up at the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
What is up, Syndicate members? Guess what? You know what time it is. It's 9 a.m. We're live from Austin, Texas. Woo! It is Winning on Wednesday. I'm Tony Merwin. I got the king of Facebook groups with me, Joe Camper from Redwood. What is happening, my friend?
You're looking at it, baby. My favorite show of the week, dude. I get so excited for this. Look, you see my dog in your backdrop.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny having my Great Dane in the office, guys. Oh, no, man. I'm super excited. Welcome, everybody. Hey, real quick, I think everybody's pretty much got it. But make sure and let StreamYard view your comments at StreamYard.com/Facebook. We want to make sure and get you up on the show. Mr. England, how are you, sir? Thank you so much for your loyal membership, listening. You're on every single show, man. Really appreciate you. And guys, we have an action-packed freaking show. You say the king of Facebook groups. This dude's he's on the whole other side of things. He's a king of Facebook and some other categories as well. So I'm super excited to have him on. And real quick, y'all, so a weekly win. Man, Tony, I think I might be able to speak for both of us on this one. But that soft launch party on Friday, oh man, banger, dude. I think that was my win for sure. Is just kind of breaking in the new office, and we had a boatload of freaking people up in here.
70, 80 people rolled through here.
I don't know. I mean, shoot, by the end of the night, we were playing quarters, guys. So there could have been 70 or 80 people. We don't know. But it was awesome. And with that being said, guys, make sure Syndicate HQ, the grand opening. Okay, that was just our soft launch. Clients, friends, referral partners, family members. I know that was the soft launch. If that was a soft launch, I don't know what this grand opening is going to be. But it's going to be amazing. That is next Friday. Okay, Syndicate HQ, grand opening. I'm going to put it in the... Yep, I'll put it in the comments. We would love to see y'all. We've got, obviously, the ribbon cutting and party, that welcome party that night, Friday the 24th. We're kicking off right around 3:30, 4 o'clock. Bunch of food. We're actually going to have a dessert food truck out front with our own custom dessert menu for everybody. It's from a good friend of mine here in town. And then the next day, right, because we have people coming into town. Like Medicare Misty's coming to town. Luke Akery's coming to town. John Wetmore's flying into town, right? So we've got a lot of...
Guilfoyle's coming down.
Guilfoyle's coming here, and he might be driving his new.
Gonna be here.
Guilfoyle's bringing his McLaren. No, I'm kidding. He ain't driving that from Fort Worth. I don't think that's allowed. But Saturday, okay, 8 to 12, because everybody's coming into town, we wanted to give you a little bit more than just coming to celebrate. We have workshops going, property and casualty, group health, life insurance, obviously Medicare. So we're going to have trucking specifically within the property and casualty space. So we're super excited. And we're going to have kind of workshops all over the new office. And so we want to, as many of y'all here, don't hesitate to come through, right? We got people flying in, but especially if you're in the greater Austin area, we would love to have you for that grand opening. So, sorry, is that your week? You have any other weekly wins, Tony? That launch was mine.
I can top that one. I mean, that's the one, that was a super successful thing. And it was super reassuring to see all the people that came out, right? We had clients come through. We had referral partners come through. We had friends and some family that came through. And it was just super reassuring to know that, hey, we're on the right track. All these people came through to support us, let us know how proud they were of us, right? I saw a couple of old friends I hadn't seen in 3-4 years. Wow. Right, that saw what was going on and came out to hang out with me and drop some gifts off. And one of those is a buddy of mine, Carlos Saenz, who I've known this dude 23 years. We traveled to California together doing outside sales. The guy used to sleep in the corner of my apartment on a giant hefty bag full of neckties. I didn't know anybody could own so many neckties, and this dude had them set up like a little half mattress that he slept on. This was a long time ago, man. We had 11 people living in this 2-bedroom apartment out in California. This dude was one of them. Now he's in Austin. He runs his own bookkeeping business, super successful. And I think he's going to come out and do a workshop on that Saturday too,
Awesome.
on understanding bookkeeping for small business owners. So it should be an action-packed workshop for you guys. So we're super excited. Get your butt down here to Austin. Come on now.
Absolutely. And excited, guys. I'm super excited to have Perry on the call. I actually was, I met his amazing wife a couple years ago at SWAT. So anybody that hasn't been to SWAT, it's Strategic Wealth Accumulation Tactics. Nate Alford puts that on outside of Frisco. It's actually going to be in, it might be actually be in Dallas this year. I know he moved the location to the Hilton, so we've got tons of space, an amazing event. And then actually had the pleasure of getting to hang out with Perry last year at SWAT, and probably had one of the best conversations insurance wise, just sitting outside, right? And it's, hey guys, it's not always about what you know, but it's about who. And I'm super excited to bring on Mr. Perry Lunsford, the healthy insurance dude.
Insurance dude.
Let's go.
What's up, guys?
Look, maybe I shouldn't flex, because if he flex, he might just, he's going to outdo me, I think.
Hey, I'm a fan, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Man, thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on. If you don't mind, just take a quick moment, kind of introduce yourself to the audience, let them know who you are, kind of what you're about, and we'll roll from there.
Well, my name is Perry Lunsford. Most people, if they know me at all, know me as the healthy insurance dude. I'm lucky enough to have failed enough times in life that I accidentally ended up here, and lucky enough to fail here just a little less than I succeed. And I've been an entrepreneur since I was a little kid. My father was a small business owner. I was in the Air Force for 10 years. When I was in the Air Force, I bought, built, and sold hot rods. Got out of the Air Force, had an idea, built a company, sold it, retired for a little while, and then took over a gym that was going under because I was bored. Turned that into several gyms. The last gym I opened was supposed to open with 2,000 members. It opened with 75. Thought I was Moses before that. Turned out I was a false prophet. So I walked into my business partner over there, Derek Barry's office, almost 5 years ago now. And I was $350,000 in debt, had about $1 million in lawsuits coming down the pipe from losing those gyms. Oh, same time that gym failed, they opened a Planet Fitness next door to every one of my other gyms. So between those two things at the same time, I was living on Klonopin and crying in the closet, and walked into here. My cousin's in insurance, and he's been in insurance since he was 19. He was making about $3.5 million back then, about 5 years ago. I think he's doubled that now. But I reached out and I go, hey man, what am I looking for here? And he's like, well, first you should come with me, but I know you ain't going to do it. And second, he's like, you want a company, with residuals. You want a company that has, if at all possible, a unique product. You want a company that will let you grow. You want a company that'll pay you back for your marketing. And so I was sitting with Derek, and basically he was just kind of checking off all the things. And it was the only interview I've ever been in my life. I had actually put a resume out. I had to build a resume because I'd never had a job before. And on that resume, I put my expected income was between 250 to 350. So nobody called, right? And so I was talking to Derek. I was like, hey man, can I make this kind of money here? And he's like, well, I don't know. It's up to you. We'll see. So I started work June 1st of 2018. 2018, I made 370 grand doing nothing but helping people. Still feel like I've never sold a thing. I believed, I thought that there might be a chance I could make a good living ethically, because I didn't think there was enough. And they were like, well, we'll see, man. Nobody's ever tried it that way. So I made 370 my first 7 months here. I made 670 in 2019, broke $1 million in 2020. My wife started here in 2020, broke $1 million in 2021. So, between the two of us, we help lots and lots and lots of people and are rewarded handsomely. I own 3 Ferraris and 20 hot rods and real estate, and all I do is help people all day. So it's a good feeling, man.
Speaking of hot rods, you have a hot rod garage now too, don't you?
I got about 20.
Okay.
Yeah, I own a hot rod company, but it doesn't have, it really only has one client.
Okay. And that's you?
Yes, sir.
I am the sole client.
Yeah,
I
I
love it.
mean, the only way we work on other people's stuff is if it's a referral. I don't have time to deal with it. I have a meeting every morning from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. With the staff there, and I don't have the mental fortitude. Maybe I don't have the room in my brain to think about it any other hour of the day. So
Understood.
Got
What's
it.
your favorite hot rod of the 20?
whichever one I'm driving.
Whichever one you're driving.
Yeah, when I'm
Fair
driving
enough.
if I'm driving my Spider, my Ferrari, that's my favorite car, right? And I just bought one 2 weeks ago at Barrett Jackson. I bought a '77 Resto Mod Trans Am, and every time I'm driving that, I'm absolutely certain it's my favorite. And then getting the next one, and I'm like, wow, it's like picking a child. My son's my
Impossible.
favorite person in the world to play football with, but my daughter's my favorite one to snuggle with. So
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Well, and I think, you talked about how you guys have been rewarded, very handsomely because of how many people you've helped. And I think you've also taken that and done that on the agent side of things as well. I believe you guys call it the Lion's Den. And I mean, I see it from afar,
yeah,
but it's like, man, the culture and everything that you guys have instilled in that office and in your people is freaking amazing. And before we get there though, I want to go back because you said I've been an entrepreneur all my life, right? And I think so we obviously this isn't we have a lot of insurance agents that are tuning in, right? But I think a lot of people they confuse entrepreneurship with like being a business owner or like, hey, what's the difference there? How do you mesh them, right? Because a lot of entrepreneurs I think are just run and gun, run and gun, run and gun, and they never actually set up shop, right? And they never do anything that they need to on the. Where did your entrepreneurial spirit come from, and how have
that
you merged that into business
so have you
ownership?
ever read
Or
the E-Myth?
I have not.
Okay, well, the E-Myth is basically what you just described. It's the first most important book I ever read, and books are like cars and kids. There's H1's the most important book you ever read for whatever reason. But that's the E-Myth. My father. The idea behind the E-Myth is it's an entrepreneur myth. Just because you own a company doesn't mean you're an entrepreneur. It means you had an entrepreneurial moment, right? And so what that means is an entrepreneur builds companies or builds his company, and someone who had an entrepreneurial moment built a job. So they built a company and then they just worked that job, right?
Yeah.
And so I read the E-Myth when I was 24 years old, and it just I was living in Korea, and all I did was read and work out and work. And so I spent a year there just working on who I wanted to be when I grew up. And so we've been working on those plans that we made, and by we I mean me, for however many years that is,
Right.
24 years. But that's the idea behind the E-Myth. And so here, man, it's a grind every day. I start work every morning at 5 a.m. I get up at 4:45. From 5 to about 5:40, I'm working. I take a shower. I go into my hot rod shop. I have an hour meeting, and I get to work. I usually finish work, like actually finish work, about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Having a little bit of extra F around money makes it where I don't have to do anything else except the things that I love, right? So Joe, Tony, I only do 4 things in life, and 4 things only. Number 1, I love my wife. So whatever that means, taking her on vacation, spending time with her, snuggling with her, taking her to dinner. I only do these 4 things. So number 1, I love my wife. Number 2, I raise my kids. Number 3, I build my company. And number 4, I drive my cars. I don't wash dishes. I don't do laundry. I don't mow the yard. I don't have friends outside of those 4 things. So ain't nobody got time for that.
Right.
Love
Right.
it.
So where did that come from though? So like take it like where did this whole entrepreneurial spirit? So it had to have started before the Air Force, right?
When I was a kid, I remember my father starting his first company in 4th grade, and he had business cards, right? And again, my father is one of the most amazing men you'll ever meet, and probably the worst business owner you'll ever meet. But his first company was called Perry and Elaine Landscaping. I'm a junior. And so even in 4th grade, I was like, well, that's a stupid name. But I remember him having hats and business cards, and I was like, well, like, who's your boss? And he's like, well, I don't have a boss. And I'm like, well, how much money do you make? And he was like, well, I make whatever I can drum up, maybe a bunch, maybe none, right? And I just was fascinated with that. And so the only thing I've ever wanted to be when I grew up was an entrepreneur. And so, like, here's here's what I know. There's one thing that I work for every day, and that is that when I die, that there is a line of people around the block to speak at my funeral about how I changed their grandkids' lives. Okay. So
Yes.
I got into politics for a little while. I was a city councilman. And I got nowhere. I felt like I helped no one. And in order to help somebody, I had to, or to get the things done that I wanted to get done, I had to really break my ethics. And I don't like that. So I would have to make exceptions for one thing in order to get something else done. So it really grossed me out. But that was when it occurred to me, I used to get upset about politics. I got upset about this, all these things I had no control over in the world. And that was when it occurred to me, the people that I can touch, like physically touch, I can change their lives. And the people outside of that ain't my problem. Right. I've tried, when we're young, we're all blue hairs when we're young, right? And we're running around trying to solve the world's problems, and you get nowhere. But what you can do is you can make a dent in the universe by affecting enough people's lives that that effect is so big that it changes their grandkids' lives. And this is an industry. It ain't easy, but this is an industry that you can pull that off more often than any other industry. And so every day, so maybe I die today on the way home driving like a jackass, or maybe it's making love to my wife in the garage with all the cars running at 85 because that's how I want to die. But whenever that is, that line is going to be around the block. And the reason we get up every morning and start work at 5 a.m. is because that line ain't long enough. So you were talking about how do we build agents? That's how we do it. We all we care about is teaching. Basically, my job is to be a father to them, teach young men and young women how to be grown-ups, and teach poor people how to accumulate wealth and help as many. My business model is based around 1099 employees and small business owners under 10 people. And so how many of those people can I save from getting the shaft? And, sometimes I make money. Great. That's fantastic. Sometimes I make a friend. That's even better because friends take care of each other.
True. So Joe mentioned it earlier, culture, right? And
Yes.
I remember you spoke at SWAT and you talked a little bit about your culture.
Yes.
And I've seen video of the Lion's Den. I've met people that work in the Lion's Den, and I hear these things that you're talking about. Are these some of the pillars that you bring into that culture that you're trying to instill into some of these agents that you work with as well? Or is there a different set of values that you kind of push onto them?
No, we got your job is to put your family last. Right. And then there's not a lot of places in the world where when you put the client first, the company second, and yourself and your bank account absolutely last, that the good Lord, the universe, and the CEOs of these health insurance companies will take very good care of you. Right. And so that's the question. Number one, is this right for the client? Number two, is this right for the insurance company? And number three, is it right for your family? If you don't get a yes to all three of those, we don't have a deal. But I think of all of my agents like I think of my son, which is my job isn't to be your friend. If you think of a puppy, right? You get a puppy and you can snuggle with it here and there, but you don't get to be that puppy's friend. You got to rub his nose in it, right? And sometimes you screw up, man. Sometimes you rub that dog's nose in the poop that he didn't do, and you mess up and you apologize. But yeah, like you hold people accountable. You never lie to them. Ever, 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 ever lie to them. And sometimes, not all the time, that means telling them what they don't want to hear when they don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? When you're honest 100% of the time, I can walk in and go, Joe, you suck. You suck right now. And this is, I have a plan to fix it. What's your plan? You go first. But if you sit around and you're scared of conflict and you're scared to hurt people's feelings, that's when culture falls apart, and it falls apart real quick. But if we're always brutally honest with each other, it creates a mutual respect that,
Absolutely.
yeah. So that's the goal. We always be honest with each other, because this is, if you work at McDonald's and you got somebody who's not the best cash register person in the world, who cares? What's the downside? Might as well be nice to them, right? But here, if I'm nice to you and I don't correct you, you don't get a paycheck this week. So number one, in my opinion, we all have delusions of grandeur, and I'll put myself in that. Insurance agents are pieces of shit, right? I mean, I had to, your group, I had to hide it where I don't see it, because I go in there and see these insurance agents, and they're all making, $100,000 a year, and they're constantly trying to recruit everybody from out from under somebody else, because they ain't man enough to go grow their own freaking team, right? And they're just a bunch of pussies.
Come on.
Sorry. And I can't stand it. Like, oh, you can't do, oh, you need to do this. You should, oh, here's my number. Call, man, go recruit somebody and teach somebody on your own. It's ridiculous. Children out there. And by the way, they're all making $100,000 a year. You're not successful. Like, this is 2023. You making $100,000 a year, you're broke off your ass, man. I got agents making $130,000 a year about to get evicted because they don't have enough money, because they ain't grinding hard enough. And then you're going to go off and listen to advice from somebody who's not successful. And by the way, if you're leaving someplace already, that's because you weren't successful. So whenever you leave, wherever you're going, guess what happens? That same dipshit is coming with you, because that dipshit is you. So no matter where you go, you're going to be a failure until you pull your head out of your ass. Anyway,
Come on, you guys heard that passion. No, and you're good, dude. And I think
I cannot stand that shit. People running around trying to steal everybody else's agents. Like, grow up and grow an agent. If you're not a man who can raise children, then you need to stop trying to steal everybody else's children.
Yep.
Somebody wants to come to you, by all means, go.
Let's talk about building the business, right? So obviously you've done that yourself. And guys, if you haven't looked it up, go check him out. Healthy Insurance Dude. The guy's got over 600 freaking 5-star reviews. You've got almost 30,000 followers on Facebook. How did you build that? Let's start, okay, obviously the branding and the marketing of yourself, right, is important. But then how do you, once you get that up and running, right, and you have all of that incoming, right, and you're building it and you're doing it yourself, how did you set up the infrastructure? How did that happen? I thought you'd been in longer than freaking 5 years. Like, you're telling me you've been doing this for 5 years and you're where you're at?
First is 5 years.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't have a choice, man. I'm broke. You know what? Yeah. Everybody's motivated by different things. Actually, that's not true. Everybody's motivated by the same thing. They just handle it differently. Everybody's motivated by fear. Period. Like, so what is it you're afraid of, right? Are you afraid of failure? Well, typically, that don't work. And if you're afraid of failure, then you're going to be paralyzed. You're going to make excuses and then blame everybody else. And then you're going to figure out a way to give yourself a reason to fail so that it isn't your fault if you fail. Does that make sense? You know what motivates me? I have a debilitating fear of letting people down. So my business partner, Derek, in there, my wife, who is my absolute best friend in the entire world, my children, my agents, my clients. I'm so scared of letting down my clients, right? Like, I see people bad-mouthing plans and bad-mouthing this and bad-mouthing that. I'm like, you don't even know what the hell you're talking about, you piece of shit. Like, why don't you learn something and then start throwing your shit around? When you're scared to death to let your client down, and so you are very honest with them, this is what's great about this. This is what sucks about this. Now let's go look at this stuff. This is what's great about this. This is what sucks about it. Let's go look at this. This is what's great about it. This is what sucks about it. Essentially, there's 3 types of insurance that's real, right? Group, underwritten, and Obamacare. I don't give a shit what you buy. Stay away from those multi-plans and short terms. They're going to let people down. So you tell me which direction you want to go. And so we have 600 5-star reviews, but we got probably 7,000 or 7,000 5-star reviews in our comments, right? So I mean,
wow.
And so from day one, it was just about not letting people down, not letting my business partner down, not letting my wife down, and not letting those clients down. And so by doing that. In fact, I had a call with my region 5 minutes before we were on this call because we're having a shit week, man. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating. So I called him and I'm like, listen, man, I know I'm letting you down, but here's what we're doing to fix it. And, we're working 14 hours, 15, 16 hours a day, get it done. Give me a week and a half and you won't see this ever again. So unless we got to reinvent ourselves 6 months from now again. So.
Which, hey, and if you have to, right, this is like my favorite word, is that it's just a pivot, right? You just have to make a pivot, and life is going to throw you punches, right? And it's all about, and it's the classic Rocky. Look, I about went down. It's not about how you fall, right, but about how you get back up, right? But how did you build the healthy insurance? Because obviously that's something that's important to you.
Well, it was health insurance,
right?
dude, and then I was told I wasn't allowed to do that because I couldn't get an LLC with it because it was too close to, because it had health insurance and that was too generic.
Oh.
And I'd already put a bunch of hashtags out there because I had to reinvent myself. So I spent 9 years of my life. Like, if you think of fitness, you think of Perry. If you think of Perry, you think of fitness. And so, when I lost the gyms, I was embarrassed, man. I was humiliated. And, I didn't know if everybody hated me. I didn't know how people felt about me. I was a giant failure. And, I had thousands of clients, at about 120 employees. They all lost their jobs. They all lost the place that they worked out at. I let everybody down, and which I already told you, that's my biggest fear in life. And I wasn't going to let that happen again. So I had to rebrand myself. And so I was like, I put all these hashtags out of health insurance, dude, just because I wanted to try something different. And then I couldn't pull it off. Basically, I got an informal cease and assist on it. And so I was like, well, what do I do here, man? And somebody was like, well, you could do health coverage, dude. I was like, that's stupid. Get out of here. And so I was just sitting there and I locked myself in a room and I was like, think. I did my Winnie the Pooh, think. And I was like, what if I just add a Y to go back on social media and add a Y to everything? Here we are, the dumbest name on the planet. But what's funny is, like, if you get locked into my stuff, I'm famous. So, like, I was in Key West a little while ago. I'm sitting at a pool and I get a message from one of the people who helped me run the Facebook team. They're like, hey, there's somebody at your pool who recognizes you. And so I was like, what's their name? And so I stand up, I'm like, Kim. And the girl, right, I had to go buy all their drinks and everything. We go to the movies. Anywhere I travel, somebody's like, I know you. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you're that health insurance
dude.
guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's the dude. You're just scared to say it because you're embarrassed. But so am I. It's a stupid name. Absolutely ridiculous.
Great.
So how do you run that side of things? Because, like, so a lot of people know all of my Facebooks, I'm all organic, right? I'm all in, and typically within Facebook groups, I'm in like over 100 something groups. I'm mining for that data to obviously feed my team.
Yeah, we do that too.
What are your strategies? What all do they entail?
Well, first I'll tell you, but I don't recommend it. It's insanely expensive. The Facebook algorithms change every day. Their ability to give you information is they give you a surface level information that makes you think you're doing something really well, so you start dumping a bunch of money into it, and then with 9 hours more of research, you find out that somehow this algorithm that was making you a bunch of money and helping a lot of people somehow got turned and pointed towards homeless people. And all of a sudden, it finds one homeless guy who starts interacting, and then it's like, oh, homeless people love this. And believe me, man, homeless people love talking to you on Facebook. And so, it started with my first day of work. I went through this little half-ass training, and I was like, well, what's the pitch? And they go, well, you don't need a pitch. I was like, everybody needs a pitch. Like, that's step one. You need a pitch. And I go, well, how do people make money here? And they were like, well, they cold call. I was like, well, I'll do whatever I got to do to feed my family, but that seems like a horrible way to build it seems like a decent way to make a little money, but a horrible way to build a business. And I was like, what else? And they go, well, I saw somebody one time get a sale off of a buy-sell trade group. Now, again, this is 2018. Buy-sell trade groups are pretty much dead because Facebook Marketplace killed them.
Right.
And I was like, well, if that son of a bitch can do one, I'm just going to go all in on that and do that for 10 hours a day. So I did, went all in on it. and it took off. And then, I was making all those videos, trying to rebrand myself. And then all of a sudden, the one just kind of exploded. And I was like, well, let me start marketing this. And so I'm a fan of trying to get famous in one area, because you can't get famous in America. Well, I can, because I got enough money backing me now. But in the beginning, it was like, all right, well, I went to high school here, so I'm already kind of famous here. I went to college over here, so I'm already kind of famous over here. I was a city councilman over here, so I'm already kind of famous over here. I own a gym here, I own a gym there, I own a gym there, I own a gym there, I own a gym there. So I'm already kind of famous over there. So I'm just going to pound everything about everything that has to do with Lake Worth, Texas, because that's where I'm already famous. So if there was a group of any kind about Lake Worth, Texas, I'm posting in it nonstop. I'm marketing in Lake Worth, Texas. I'm going to the what are those whatever the groups are where all the people pay a bunch of money to hang out with each other.
And masterminds.
and market their business, whatever that shit's called.
Networking events,
Chamber of Commerce. Thank you. Yeah. So if there was a Chamber of Commerce in that area, and so I just focused on the areas I was already famous, and then I would trickle out. So, well, I'm not famous in the Woodlands, but I can make myself famous in the Woodlands slowly without hemorrhaging money into it. So I was hemorrhaging money into the places I was already famous, and then I would go into the Woodlands and be like, all right, this zip code here, I'm going to become famous in there. And then, all right, now I'm famous in the Woodlands. All right, now I'm going over to Trophy Club. Now I'm going to get famous in Trophy Club. And it just kind of grew.
Yeah.
From there.
And what are 3 things?
Now I spend about $4,000 to $10,000 a day on Facebook marketing.
Okay. What are 2 to 3 things as far as video go? Because I think we have a lot of people on here. I talk about it a lot of, hey, it doesn't have to be perfect. Some content is better than no content. Obviously, you're talking about posting videos, getting famous. I'm sure media and market, those types of things are built into that. What are some practical things you could kind of give to our listeners as far as, hey, man, this is where you could start?
Yeah. Even. So, one thing about me is I'm interesting. Like and the more you know me, the more interesting I am.
No lies detected.
What's that?
No lies detected there.
Right. I mean, I'm just an interesting guy. I was blessed to be 6'3" and somewhat attractive, just a little bit. I'm blessed to have a level 10 smoking hot wife with a level 50 out of 1 out of 10 personalities. And, I've just lived my whole life trying to find adventures. And, we wake up every day and before when I first started dating her and we started falling in love, I go, listen, if you're looking for a traditional marriage where we sit around and drink beer at night, that ain't going to happen. Like I take 15 to 20 vacations a year. I don't like canned fun. We ain't going on a cruise unless it's some kind of crazy cruise. We're going to have a good life. So also I know how to speak to people in a way that's interesting. I took film classes back in high school, which is very different than today, but the basics are the same. And the thing is, like, if you're looking at Facebook marketing, every fourth post on Facebook is an ad. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you don't even notice, and nobody notices, and no one cares. And so everybody makes these ads, and they're making these videos, and they're just not interesting. And I agree with you, Joe. The truth is the stuff that if you go look at the marketing plan I run here is the exact same marketing plan I ran for the gyms. And the gyms were very, very, very successful until overnight they worked, right? And so I just came over here and ran the exact same marketing ad, which is, what's that radio guy, religious guy who tells you to pay off your mortgage? You know who he is?
Ramsey?
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay. So Gordon Ramsay.
Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey. Thank you. Gordon Ramsay cooks. Dave Ramsey wrote a book where he was talking about, you have to build companies that don't revolve around you. And somebody was interviewing him and they said, well, yeah, Gordon, except for, or Dave, I'm sorry, Dave, the name of your company is Dave Ramsey. How is that not about you? And he said, well, a company without a face is a company without a soul.
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I know how to create that soul, and most people don't. So you got to go out there and fail, but just failing and not getting better. It's just like with insurance. It's hard. I can teach you a pitch, you can make some calls, and you can get a sale, but you can't build a career off of that, right? We can get you a paycheck this week, but you can't build a career off of that. So whatever it is you choose to do in life, you got to go all in. You've got to read every book there is. You got to watch every podcast there is. I learned how to market from CrossFit marketing. Like, they have the best marketing in the world. And so I went out and started watching them, and I'm like, okay, well, if I can do what they're doing, only instead of focusing on people in a 3 or 5 mile radius, what if I can do what they're doing and do it for 50 states? Right? Now we're taking over the world. So, whenever you're making videos, do the Gary Vaynerchuk Crush It, right? So go read that book. And know that it's not going to happen overnight. Know that you might have to take 50 or 100 takes of a 30-second video before you get it right. Know that nobody's going to like it. Know that it's going to suck, but you have to work on it so that over time it gets better. That said, be freaking interesting, because if you're not interesting, no one gives a shit.
Yeah, they'll tune out quick.
Right. And the problem is most people just aren't interesting.
You had said something earlier that you want a company that's unique.
Yeah.
How in a world that, especially insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where it's all the same products, it's all insurance in itself is fairly boring. It's not that unique.
Right.
Right. Truthfully.
Right.
How do you stand out as an agent? How does an agent stand out in this crowd of insurance people and create themselves unique? How do you build a unique company within
Are we
a
talking
boring
about brand
industry?
or insurance?
Okay. Brand, I guess, would be the
Okay.
key. Then that's the key.
Well, I don't know that my brand is unique anymore, because the ding dongs out there are all stealing it. And they have been for 4.5 years now, right? There was the healthy insurance dude, day one. Nobody had ever been that. And then all of a sudden there's the healthy insurance dad and the healthy insurance ding dong and the healthy insurance Robin Hood and the healthy. It's just a bunch of dipshits who have no creativity. But I was first on market and have enough money to back it that they can't play against me, but they do drive my costs up.
Right.
But I think what made me different was, so like if you look at, I'm with Usha, and I fucking love Usha. It's the best company in the world for what we do. Now, the way I look at it is, and it gets a bad rap here and there, and let me tell you why. Because if I walk you out there and I put you in a Volkswagen and I tell you it's a Porsche and you're getting it for $10,000, you're going to drive off the lot happy as shit, right? But it's going to be about 3 weeks before you realize that's not a Porsche, and you're going to be pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
But if I take you out there and I go, look at this Volkswagen, brand new, it's only $10,000. It's a Volkswagen. It's not a Porsche. It's a Volkswagen. It will take care of you. It will get you where you need to be. It will pay for the things it needs to pay for. It's got great gas mileage. It's got a 100,000-mile warranty. You can drive this thing till you're 65. You will never have a problem. So why do I have thousands of 5-star reviews?
Honesty is what I heard. That's
Honesty.
what I got out of that, was honesty.
Yeah, because everybody else out there is selling bullshit. And I sell the same thing, and it's fucking fantastic because I am honest with the client. Now, same thing, you got to be careful how much you tell the client, because, well, we're all stupid, right? Including myself. Well, our brains aren't that, we're humans, and we don't have the ability to absorb very much. So you have to give the amount of information, no matter what you're selling in this world, you give the amount of information that the client needs. You don't go overboard on stuff, and you give them exactly the amount that they need to keep themselves safe without confusing them. And you know how you sell a shit plan? You do a song and dance, right?
Right.
Now you sell a great plan. Yeah, $3,000 deductible covers everything after that for the rest of the year.
It's like done.
That's it.
Right.
And so we have, we have great plans that too many people are out there for no damn reason.
Right.
In insurance, group plans, fantastic. Obamacare is what it is. Love it. You'll never hear me complain about it. And underwritten. Everything else, you don't know if they're going to pay when the poop hits the fan. Everything else, 67% of claims, the last time I looked at the number, it's been a couple of years since, 67% of claims are never paid in short terms. You can sell a short term?
It's a staggering number, right?
Yeah, I got to make every one of my payments and they'll pay if they feel like it. Looks good on paper. So how did we make that brand? How did we do all that? Honesty, man.
Isn't that crazy though, dude? Because I
not caring if
I
get a sale. I don't care if I get a sale. I'm going to ask for it if that's the right thing for you.
And
but I don't care. I just need to make a friend.
They're like, hey, man, like, dude, you and your pops, like, you guys are so honest, man. And I was like, why is that surprising? Like, why is transparency and honesty so, like, why is that few and far between?
And it's crazy because if I get my homeowner's insurance through you, Joe, and then like I had wind came in a couple days ago, whole half of my roof is gone. And then all of a sudden that I find out it's going to cost me $50,000 for that. Sure, you got a sale and you thought, back to the honesty with the team, right? Honesty 100% of the time means that when someone calls and goes, man, I just had to pay $3,000 to get these injections in my leg. And I go, yeah, I told you that. And they go, oh yeah, you did, didn't you? And I go, yeah, that was the risk you were willing to take to save $7,000 a year. Now, if you had a heart attack, that wouldn't have cost you nothing. You need injections in your knee. It's going to go to your deductible.
Would you say, and I know the answer, I just want to hear it.
Yes, sir.
Would you say that honesty, that brutal honesty that you have with your team, that you have with clients, that you have with people that you deal with, that has to start with you, right?
Oh, yeah. I told
you.
Being
brutal honesty with yourself.
Failure. Yeah. So we started this conversation. I suck and I'm a failure. I tell my kids every day, I go, listen, mom and dad are morons. This is the first time I've ever raised a 14-year-old boy. Right? I'm an idiot. Now, your friends' parents, they're morons too. They're just a little more of a moron than I am because I make an effort. But I'm an idiot and I'm a giant failure. And I get up every day and I fail and we're failing right now, and we just get better and we do something about it and we don't accept it and we go fail at something different. I think wisdom, because again, I'm not that bright. My wife, she's got like a photographic memory. She remembers, which is great because she remembers everything, which is also horrible because she remembers, I think we've been in 4 fights. And if she thinks about them, it's like that fight's happening right now. And me, I'm like, when was that? I think you were on vodka. That's why we don't drink, baby. But I think wisdom is learning to not make the same mistakes 3 times. Right? I see a hole in the wall, I stick my finger in it, it gets bit. And let's see what happens next time. But I ain't sticking my finger in there a 3rd time. And I think that's why when you see people, there's a couple of reasons when people lose everything who are successful, they're able to get it back really quickly. Number one is you just, I'm a big personality guy. So why am I successful? Well, I'm going to be successful at whatever the hell I do. Right? When I was in the gym business, I was wildly successful. And I went around, I did conferences, I taught other people to do what we do. And then hubris got me. I did some stuff out of spite instead of out of love, like you should. And karma came and whooped my ass on it. Right? But also I know what not to do. I wake up every day, I come to work clueless, no clue what we do. I have no idea how to fix whatever problems are going to come today, but I know what not to do. And when eventually you eliminate so much shit, you keep accidentally doing the right thing.
It's good. It's good.
If you could give one piece of advice to an agent who's thinking about going on their own or getting into this business and building an agency, building something successful, right? Chasing you, if you're the rabbit, there's an agent out there that's looking to
and not stealing other people's shit.
Not stealing other people's shit.
Steal it. I don't give a shit.
What is one thing that you would try to instill in someone, like, if you can do this?
There's. Yeah, I think I talked about this at SWAT. So let me answer this in 2 sections. Okay, there's 2 types of America. There's the American dream and the American way. And like Joe, your father's been doing this, so you were raised in a place I was raised in a place, Tony, I don't know what your background or family background is, but I was raised in a place where we work our ass off, right? And we know what it takes. My kids know what hard work is just from watching, right? My kids have been in meetings with CFOs when we were told we were never going to have to work again. 6 months later, they were in a meeting with that same CFO saying we need to go bankrupt, right? They've been in meetings where people were hired, people were fired. They've been through it all, and so my kids know what it takes. But our in order for humans to survive, we have to teach our kids to be safe, and it's in our DNA to teach our children to go get a job, right? To go make 40,000. Well, I don't know even how much a job pays anymore, but you need to take a job. You need to go you got to aim for that 6 figures, which means nothing anymore in the last couple of years. And so if you're the person who has that mindset of I'm supposed how do I have a work home life balance? What the fuck is that? Like I don't have a work home life balance. I have a balance. Work is my life. Work is my home. I built we're in the middle of remodeling. I just took an office in Arkansas. I got 70 something agents now, but like this is my place that I love, right? And the Lion's Den, there's the Cat's Cave here that we're building, and the Lion's Den, right? And the Northwest Arkansas Den that we're building. Those are the places that I want to be, right? And my kids come up to there. And so there is no work-life balance. If you're someone who's concerned about work-life balance, this ain't the job for you. Be honest with yourself. If you're doing this because you want to spend more time at home and with your family, this is not that you're going to fail. Right? Somebody's trying to recruit you, and they're hoping you'll sell your Aunt Chrissy a little bit of overrides off that policy, and they don't care about you at all. This is an all or nothing. This is entrepreneurship. If you are all or nothing, so be honest with yourself. Are you the American dream, or are you the American way? Right? If you're not going to give me every single heartbeat you have for the next 12 months, this is not the right place for you. This is not the right industry for you. You will fail. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's number one. Number two, I think, side note, there's only 2 things I know for sure, Tony. Number one, everything I knew 10 years ago was wrong. Number 2, everything I think I know right now is probably wrong. Right? I just found out 2 years ago I like Brussels sprouts. I had no clue. I was wrong. Shit, on the way to work this morning, I found out I like Chris Stapleton. Had no idea. He's my favorite singer now. Never heard a word of it until today. I'm like, holy shit, it's amazing. All right, so here's what I think it takes to be successful in this business. Number one, you got to be intelligent. Now, the problem with intelligence is the dumber you are, the more you don't realize you're intelligent, right? You don't see Elon Musk at the gas station accusing other people of not having common sense. It's always the one with the lowest IQ, right? So the dumber we are, the more we don't realize we're stupid, right? The smarter we are, the more we realize we don't know what the hell we're doing, right? So number one, I got to be intelligent. Insurance is complicated. Health insurance is wildly complicated. Life's a little more simple. You've got, you still got a lot to learn, but health is, this system's so broken and stupid that you got a lot to work around. So number one is intelligence. Number 2 is charisma. The way I talk about the insurance is there's 3 types of real insurance, and I like to equate it to a car lot. You've got a Lamborghini SUV. They're fancy, they're expensive. That's a group plan. You've got a well-used Ford Fiesta. That's an Obamacare plan, and you got a Tesla. That's what I specialize in, right? Everything else is a cardboard box that everybody's running around hawking because they can't figure out how to make money. People can't afford a Lambo, and you only make $30 off of selling the Ford Fiesta. So they're out hawking the bullshit because it's the only place they can figure out how to make money, right? So every time you let someone down, and every time you're not able to help someone, they're going to move on to the next guy, and that next guy, like, I don't care what you buy, as long as you buy one of those 3 or nothing at all. Because the nice thing about having nothing is that you know what you have. But the next guy's going to get on the phone with you and explain to you how amazing health shares are and short terms are, right? My father had a $200,000 stroke, and his health share stopped answering the phone, right? And so you go, listen, this is what health shares are great at. This is what they suck at. Right? If you're trying to have a baby, go, right? If you If you really want something real that you know will take care of you, maybe we can look in a different direction. So I need to be intelligent. I need to be charismatic, because if I'm not, every person I don't help is going to end up with a cardboard box, because they're going to move on to the next guy. I got to be able to talk to every person and make them happy. And the truth is, wouldn't you rather buy a cardboard box from somebody you like than a Tesla or a Lambo from somebody you hate? Right. So intelligence, charisma, and you got to have grit. Like, you guys know, like, grit. That's rule number one, because you're going to get your ass handed to you, just like I'm getting my ass handed to me this week. And you just got to get up earlier and stay up later, and you got to figure it out. And if you got to go in the closet and cry for a little bit, that's fine, man. I'll come in there and hug you. No big deal, but you got to straighten that shirt up and go back to war, because we're at war every day here. That's sales.
Yeah.
Right.
Every day you start at zero again.
Every day you start at zero. Don't matter what I did last year. If I suck this year, we suck. Don't matter what I did last week. If we suck this week, we suck. So intelligence, charisma, grit, and you need to be curious.
Like it.
Right? Like, you got to be curious. If you're trying to run around trying to solve your problem and projecting your problems on everybody else, you're going to go broke. Right? And then I think number 5, and this one's probably the most important, is I think you need an unhealthy high level of self-esteem.
I like that.
Right? Unhealthy. Like everybody today call it toxic masculinity. Like, you need to walk in a room and be like, you guys are welcome. I'm here. Like, my 14-year-old boy, if you ask him who the greatest middle linebacker of all time is, he will tell you it's him. Now, he isn't there yet, right? You didn't say who's the greatest middle linebacker of 1988. You said of all time, and that's him. He's just not there yet, and he's working every day to get there. Now, will he be? I don't know. We'll find out. But you got, like, when I started working here, I'd walk into a room and I'd be like, you guys are welcome. I am here. I am the greatest of all time. There's only one person better than me. That's my mentor. So I might have to call him and ask him some questions. Right? So, I mean, if you don't believe in yourself, you will fail. Fail. If you have mental health issues, this is not the right place for you. Get that shit fixed and then come in here. You don't love yourself, you will fail. You've got to have an unhealthy high level of self-esteem. If anybody's watching this and they haven't figured out I have an unhealthy high level of self-esteem, they ain't paying attention. Right? Not that I think not that I think I'm perfect. I'm just better than everybody else. I think I suck. Just nobody else is trying.
Man, I want to give a quick shout out too, though, because I did have the opportunity to meet your son. And one of the most, I haven't had the chance to meet your daughter, but I've heard stories of her and how she's brilliant and amazing. But your son, dude, so freaking impressive. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, that guy he was right here with all of the conversation, everything. You said he's been in those conversations, but I had to give you a shout out to you and James. You guys are doing an amazing job. That dude was so freaking impressive. I mean, to the moon and beyond for him, man. I can't wait to see what he does, for sure.
Thank you. I'm blessed. I have 5 kids. I made 2 of them. The other 3 showed up one day. I fell in love. I wouldn't let them leave. And every one of them has nothing in common with the other except they're badasses. Very blessed guy. And also, I spend a lot of money on schools and shoes.
Beautiful. Well, man, this has been a huge pleasure. You know, we're going on close to an hour. I appreciate you taking the time. I want to be respectful of your time and certainly everybody else. We all got stuff to do. We got to get on with our day. So thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to me rant.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Winning on Wednesday. We're here every Wednesday, 9 a.m.
Hey, it's the peak of the week. It's Wednesday, baby. It ain't the end of the week. Let's keep going, y'all, right? Let's have a high level of freaking self-esteem. Let's have some freaking grit about us, right? And be the best in the room. We appreciate y'all. Thank you, Perry. Hope everybody has an amazing rest of the week. Later.